He will be monitored by a third-party outside security team. We will put together any conditions possible in order to make sure that he is not a danger to society, as prosecutors claim. And they also spend a large portion of their brief saying he knew he was under investigation since January and had his attorneys reach out to prosecutors. He gave up his passport. He has been doing everything in his power to be cooperative. He came to New York to surrender himself. And this is not only a fair bail package, and he's been doing the right thing, but what they also suggest is the two judges who denied him bail previously, they were relying on unproven allegations from the prosecution. They're saying he was contacting witnesses, but there's not definitive proof of that. It was actually not as nefarious as they claim. There are people who are reaching out to him. It was regarding the civil lawsuits. So as this now takes its way to a second court, a higher court, what do you think?
Well, I thought the argument they made the first time they made it was an excellent one. I thought they overcame what is a statutory presumption in these type of cases. The problem they've got now, though, they're in a circuit court. And the circuit court is really going to be looking at whether or not there was an abuse of discretion. And there is a lot of discretion vested in the district court judges, the ones that ruled on this case, to make these kind of bail detention decisions that they make every day. And so while I think it's a really legitimate argument, and there's certainly circumstances that could be put in place that could protect everyone in this case and allow him to maintain his liberty, it's always a difficult task to overcome a district judge's finding on the issue of detention.
Yep. In other words, it wasn't so outside the realm of understanding why the judge did this, right? It's not like it made absolutely no sense. You take the government's allegations, you take the facts of this case, you take the weight of the evidence, you could say that the judge was justified, and that's really what you're looking at here. Now, I want to give everybody an update. As I mentioned, we're going to provide you updates throughout this hearing as it progresses, and we plan to stay here pretty much until this hearing's over, and even afterwards. So the hearing has officially started. Combs' new defense attorney, Anthony Rico, wanted to make it clear to the court that Mr. Combs' mother and his children traveled here from Florida and are seated behind me. Now, that's interesting because we talked earlier in the week, and by the way, to let everybody know, what you're seeing is the best any of us can do. There are no cameras allowed in that courtroom. This is not like a standard law and crime trial. I wish it was. I wish there were cameras in there, but federal courts, New York courts, they don't allow cameras in the courtroom. It's really a big disappointment. So we are going to do our best to relay to you in real time what's happening. And of course, as I mentioned, Elizabeth Milner's in there and she'll come out later. So that's interesting that his family's there. Obviously his family's there, but his mom, earlier this week, and we did a sidebar episode on this, released a statement. And she basically told the world, don't judge him, allow him to present his defense. But also she said, he lied. He lied. When he said he had, didn't do anything. And then he apologizes for the Cassandra Ventura video. He lied. I thought it was very interesting his mom released that statement through her lawyer, of course.
And I think lying versus committing sex trafficking and RICO-type charges are two very different things. The law says you're innocent until proven guilty, and his mom being there could be a show of her belief that my son is innocent of these indictment charges until he's proven.
Yeah.
And I'm going to support my son.
Yeah, I understand that. And look, she came out with that statement after the charges, after the civil lawsuits, and look, unfortunately, she's, I think, 84 years old. She's probably wants to get this statement in, and it's her son. So I understandable that she said that, but at the same time, they're very serious accusations, and a number of people have levied very, very serious claims against him. Okay, so I have a question for both of you. I will start with you, Brian. This is from Nicholas Winter on YouTube. What are your views on federal court not allowing transparency via press coverage inside the courtroom? Would the video of the hearing be made public when the case is closed?
I couldn't agree more with the view that there ought to be access. The citizens have a right to see. They have a right to know. They want to see justice being made. And they don't have that opportunity in federal courts. We don't even have that opportunity in the state courts of Pennsylvania. And I know what the rules allow for. I know why those rules exist. But I think we're now at an age, a point in time in our nation's history, where our citizens require it. They want to be able to see it so they can believe it. and they want to have trust in the system. And I think that would give them at least some confidence that what they hear, what they read, is what their eyes are telling them. So why not?
Yeah, and not everybody's able to read an article about what happened. To have that visual medium, to have a clip unedited and put in context, of course, would really help provide that transparency. And no, there's not going to be a copy of the video after the case. There will be transcripts. We can see transcripts. That's probably the best we'll get. Courtroom sketches, as we're seeing. Ava, I'll give you the opportunity to respond to that as well. But if you want, I have another question for you.
Sure,
actually,
go
you
ahead.
answered that. Nicholas Winter asked for your opinion too. What's your opinion on that?
I don't think either of you are going to like my opinion. I think that it shouldn't be open to the public because the most important thing is the privacy of the victims, as well as to ensure that the charge, no matter how egregious the charges are, you have a right to a fair trial. And I think opening up to the public, having cameras in there, could really impede on that right.
Brian, I want to give you an update about what's happening in court. Literally what we just talked about, the speedy trial. So the judge said the defense requested a trial in April or May of 2025. The judge says they can give them either month, and the judge offered May 5th. The defense said they will take May 5th, and the government says its case will take 3 weeks. Do you imagine this really happening in May of 2025? Less than a year after he was arrested and indicted?
It's unbelievable. It would really be the absolute unusual situation with the representations made about the amount of discovery in this case. But I get it. And, they have an obligation to not only protect, Mr. Combs, but to see to his wishes. And what he wants is his liberty. Now, if there's a determination, I can assure you, by the circuit court that he's going to be released, they may want to punt this case until maybe 2 years from now.
Right.
But while he's in custody, I can assure you they're going to be pushing for that May trial date. And guess what? This judge is basically saying, you want it? I'll give it to you. But don't come crying to me, 4 months from now if it's not working for your schedule. So, interesting.
Yeah, look, I'm of the opinion, and I will back this up any day, I think he really thought he was going to make bail, be on house arrest for 1 year, 2 years, push it out as long as he wants. But now the fact, and I'll give you another update here, Ava. So the defense says its case, it's going to take 1 week to defend. And that seems to me, right, he's going to be locked up, try to get him tried as soon as possible, put this behind him. They feel confident. They feel confident in their defense against these charges right now. And we've kind of heard a flavor of it, right? That all of these freak-offs were consensual. But doesn't that signal to you that the defense, at least at this point, feels confident in proving his innocence?
Yeah, but the defense might not also have all the evidence yet. The prosecutor in their letter said there was several terabytes of information. To break that down, if you had 2 terabytes of video footage, that would amount to 40 days of watching the video footage nonstop just to get through those 2 terabytes. And 1 terabyte, we know, is about 500,000 photos.
Well, the government has just said, the prosecutors, that they can complete production of discovery, meaning turning it over to Sean Combs, by the end of the year. So before January. So if you give everything to the defense by January, can they adequately prepare a case by May?
That gives you 4 or 5 months to review the amount of evidence. Like I said, the videos alone could take 2 months just to look at them every hour of every day for 2 months. You better have a great legal team behind you.
And that's for the current charges. If these charges are upgraded, if he's hit with charges related to minors, as some of the allegations in the civil suits have alleged, this whole case changes. The whole defense changes. I imagine that they can't go to trial in May so quickly. But with the current charges here, Brian, again, that part's interesting. That part's interesting, right? Because the government knows right now if they plan to issue a superseding indictment, right? So would they give any indication? I wouldn't think this May date's going to work, Your Honor. I can't tell you why, but I think that something's going to happen in the next month or so. They can't say that, right?
Yeah, they don't usually, and I don't think they would here, certainly. I had been expecting a superseding indictment in this case from the minute I first read the indictment. I was stunned that there were no other defendants. I was stunned that there weren't any charges relative to minors. But TBD. If there is no change, meaning if there is no superseding indictment, the defense will get what they want. I just don't know at the end of the day if that's what they're gonna want. You want time to prepare. You want time to go through everything. As Ava has said, it would be a Herculean task to go through all this stuff and to find the stuff you're looking for.